What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Jungle Gap. So recently we have seen, and I've been doing a lot of reviews on some pretty insane junglers on the Korean SoloQ ladder. And so I've been looking at it. I've been updating myself on what's been going on. You know, with the likes of Natty Nat, with the likes of Sharvel, there's one other jungler that has been making his way, creeping up to potentially reclaim his throne as the rank 1 spot. It is none other than Chasik. So this is a Hecarim OTP player. We're going to be taking a look at one of his VODs today. A super carry performance going 17-0 with kind of like a lethality Hecarim build. This is something that you're going to be able to apply in your SoloQ games. We're going to be going through all the fundamentals and in-depth breakdown. So let's get into it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Coach Leo. I am an ex-pro player and challenger jungler, and for the past year, I've been helping hundreds of players just like you achieve their rank goals. If reaching your potential is something you are interested in, head on over to junglegap.gg for more information. So getting into the VOD now, this was a very interesting game because generally Chasik, if you've seen or watched any of his things before, he's a bit of a psychopath. He plays really aggressive. And honestly, you need a pretty in-depth understanding of the invade scenarios and all the different sequences that can happen when you are doing these invade scenarios. So the reason I chose this VOD in particular and why I'm quite happy that, because in this VOD, right, he actually just plays pretty standard. Okay, so I watched the early game. I'm not too familiar with exactly. I didn't break it down in my own time yet. I just watched the first 2 clears. I've been watching a ton of his VODs recently because it's just, you know, kind of interesting. And yeah, this was just more of a standard game. Everyone generally knows that this guy is like going to try and do something early, which is pretty funny because the entire team, there's like a billion pings that happen level 1 every single game. And so if you are, if you are looking at some of his other VODs, and you can definitely copy a lot of the invade strategies that he does. So starting things off, he's actually just hanging around the bot side. The bot lane matchup is quite volatile. Tristana Pyke versus the Kai'Sa Rakan. Pretty volatile matchup compared to top. Jax is generally pretty hard to kill, and Gragas kind of just like neutralizes this matchup. So you can see he's doing a Raptor start, which means he will end up crossing back to his top side or be looking to cross back to his top side. So you'll do like a full clear down, take scuttle, cross back, which is pretty good this game if you consider the fact of the enemy is an mobile mid laner. You know, once you burn this guy's flash, it is very easy to repeat gank and actually kill him on your 6. So if you play champions like, that have like an ult that just kills someone, Nocturne, Jarvan, or kills someone that doesn't have mobile in their kit, it's really good to actually, do a Raptor clear. And, he kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone here. He's able to part the bot. He's able to play for himself by doing a Raptor clear. It's also just good for Hecarim to start Raptors in general, right? So he's kind of just, he's gaining a lot of advantages for himself just by starting Raptors in this game. And so as we can see here, we're just clearing down. The enemy team is pinging him. Obviously, maybe they knew that they had some information on him. I wish you could kind of just only see one team's pings here, but we're going to see the enemy team's pings here as well, I guess. Interesting in this game, right? Something that I discuss with a lot of players that I coach is, should you start health pot or not? Okay, Chasik, again, he's a very aggressive player. So he always starts health pot. He even takes like flat health in his runes. And unlike some other full clearing kind of stereotype junglers, especially on level 4, even level 3, even level 2. Hecarim is actually deceivingly strong early. He plays really aggressive. Again, this game, pretty standard, just a full clear bot. Take into account here that he does this and then this to keep his Q stacks for any potential play. And so I'm going to be trying to relate a lot of what he's doing to fundamentals that I also teach in my coaching. This is where all my fundamentals come from. It just comes from me scouring, watching hundreds of these guys play and seeing exactly what they value and what they value with their time. And so here, right, he kind of has 2 options in this game, right? Or when you get to this stage. Generally, if you start at buff, like if you start red, you're just going to end up, you're clear here, you're going to use your spare time. But he still obviously has some spare time here. There's no play to happen bot. He has no information of the enemy jungler. And so this is where this mid gank is just really good. And the whole idea can just be to just burn Victor's flash. If you just burn Victor's flash here, that's okay. But as you can see here, Hecarim, if the enemy flashes too early, which they're kind of forced to do. So think about the execution in the gank, right? Whether you're playing, whatever champ you're playing here, it is extremely important gank execution wise to only use your ability. So obviously he uses his E here. But whether you're playing Jarvan here, whether you're playing Xin Zhao here, right? You want to try and hold that ability until after the enemy uses something. So really good play here from Hecarim in terms of the execution. He doesn't just blindly E into him. He expects the flash. He runs ahead because he has a bunch of move speed. So very nice play. And as you can see here, right? He instantly pings the Victor use flash. right? That is a habit that you can really, really take. When you burn someone's flash or when you see a flash, ping it yourself, because as you'll see in this VOD, a really, really, large part of when someone burns flash is that they have a big target on their backs. So that is something that when you burn someone's flash, you should look to re-gank them, because the chance of them living is so much lower now that they have no flash. Again, that's something that you'll see, the attention to detail with these insane junglers is really, really the thing that makes them quite impressive, and the amount that they can do it consistently. So it's a pretty good start. If you can do a raptor start into a double crab into a mid kill, you're in a pretty good position as a Hecarim here. As you can see, buys up some items. He doesn't actually have enough for a second longsword, so he actually just leaves base here with 300 gold. Something interesting to see here is that he keeps his ward because he didn't use his wards. Generally, I say that you should just use your wards in the first round. If you didn't get a chance to use them, you can just hold them, because then, especially the fact that he's going to be leaving the top side or the bot side, you can just like drop a ward on the Drake or something like that. He didn't buy a pink ward. Okay, that's also something big here, right? He's not wasting his gold on a pink ward, which is just something interesting. I generally think buying a pink ward early to put on Drake is good, but this is something else I can learn. So you see here immediately, right? Let's just go back. So after this wolf, you're going to have two decisions. You're going to zoom out on the map. You see that mid lane wave is pushing. You see that your Orianna is losing. You have two options here. The 15 seconds on the Gromp. Great time. These players have insane time management. So, instead of just waiting here for this to spawn in 10 seconds, right? He's looking to use that time a bit better. And even though, he may or may not get this kill, it doesn't look like he does get it here. It's just the idea that when that guy has no flash, there's a big target on his back. The Victor, however, plays safe. The Orianna is kind of losing. He sees the enemy Nefiri here, so now he has this information that, again, Nefiri is pathing down. Decides to stay around here, decides to get some vision here, and continues his little invade here with Pyke. I don't really think it's going to lead too much, because taking the enemy Krugs here is actually quite hard. The thing about, bot priority, right? Something that I've realized that, yes, priority is a thing, but however, inside track is also a thing. So the fact that the enemy team can just rotate here with a tower here this camp is really, really hard to take here if everything is quite even. So, he's just testing the waters here a little bit. And then he immediately, when he realizes he can't take, he just goes straight back to his Gromp. So straight back to the Gromp. He has really good information on Nefiri now. Like, Nefiri's next move has to be going back to her top side camps, right? Like, she has nothing else to do on the bot side here. And so the bot scuttle is spawning as well. 20 seconds on the bot scuttle. Raptors are also spawning in 15 seconds. So there's a bunch of things going on here. And he actually just instantly starts the Drake here, which is, again, he's playing off the enemy jungler's information. It is true that Nefiri could still be around bot side here. But yeah, I think I like this dragon a lot, because he knows that Nefiri will just eventually go back to top side. There's no reason for Nefiri to stay around. I mean, Nefiri could stay around for the Scuttle Crab. I think the last thing to this play was that I believe his support had tempo on the enemy Rakan, right? Did Rakan stay here? No, Rakan also based, right? Okay, so yeah, this Drake it's interesting. It's interesting. I would prefer just the Scuttle here, but very aggressive. Rakan ends up just going mid. Yeah, so I think the enemy could have contested here, but I think he has a pretty good idea that, again, the Nefiri wants to go back to the top side. So very nice play here. And, your next decisions here, right, after you do the Drake, it's like, we should always expect, because the Nefiri is not here, we should always expect the Nefiri to be attacking the top side. So you cannot afford to actually base here and run here. You need to immediately, like, cross, again, to your spawning top side. Okay? So, let's see what he does here. The Rakan shows mid. Orianna's just, getting gapped again. Is what it is. Again, the Victor still has no flash. So, insane play, actually. Yeah, he has no flash, so he probably just dies here. Yep. This is what I mean. The attention to detail. Knowing, depending on if Victor has Cosmic or not. 5 minutes on his flash. I don't know if he has runes or not, but if he has Cosmic, you can also just calculate. Take away 45 seconds. And again, the same thing here. Ooh, yeah. I was about to say, once you go for this mid gank, that's essentially saying here, right, that you should again expect, you see why he's not just running here automatically. Because if Nefiri is not on the bot side, if he's not contesting, the bot dragon or the scuttle or anything like that, you have to assume that he's going to try and do something topside. Okay, so as you can see here, in this case, they had a ward. I don't think Chasik would ever face check this anyway, to be honest. And discipline, right? Discipline. Just give one camp. You made that trade already. Your trade was the bot scuttle, the Drake, and the mid kill. Sometimes you can't take it all. I mean, sometimes you can. But yeah, really great discipline, honestly, here. So it's okay. You know, you could just lose one camp. It's fine. As long as you don't die here and then you lose all three, you know, you can just trade your Raptors for the mid kill. That's the trade you made. Okay. And so let's see what he does next now. Okay, so Jax is low here. Okay, so it does look like he's... So when you're coming out of base here as well, right? It's really important, even though we talk about, you know, we want to play around the bot side and these kinds of things. It's really important. This is what I like to call like an int check. So when you are going to your top side camps, right? And when you realize that this guy's not invading anymore, it's important to keep your eyes open to this kind of thing. And this is what I like to call an int check. You're checking if Jax is going to int. And in this case, you know, Chasik deems that he guesses here. And again, this is what just makes these players, you know, I wouldn't even call this game like, you can't call this game like his mid lane is getting kind of owned. His top lane is getting solo killed twice. Like this is actually just a 1v9 performance. You know, you guys already know he ends up going 17-0 in this game. And these are the reasons why. These kinds of things, this kind of map awareness. Okay. So then immediately just goes for the grubs. He knows he's really strong. A fight happens mid. So what are you going to do here, right? Fight happens mid, but your Orianna gets instantly one-shot. So, you know, a lot of players may run here and think, oh man, I got to go here and I got to, you know, I mean, honestly, if the enemy team ran straight to him here, you know, he doesn't have smite. It might be hard to contest. However, he just keeps calm, right? He just keeps calm, doesn't react. Yeah, the biggest difference, right, is like, it's just a judgment call. So whether you think that you can get kills here, like League and jungling is all about your time management. And it's all about you calculating different situations. Okay, how many games out of 100 am I actually going to gain more from rotating to this fight than I am taking this? And, you know, if there was no judgment in terms of jungling, then everyone would just be the same rank. And this is what really, like, judgment, time management, and execution is what separates the ranks. These three, like, things. How well you can execute and fight, how well you can use your time, and how effectively you can use your time, and how well you can judge situations when you should, you know, perhaps skip camps or perhaps get off an objective. Grubs, however, obviously is very valuable. If you've watched any of my other reviews, every single really, really good jungler right now is prioritizing the grubs highly. Okay, because, you know, like overloading on a side and just like breaking a tower. I mean, grubs right now is just winning out, even though he also took Drake this game. So he's in a really good position. Okay, so next decision is coming up here. He has his whole bot set up. So it's the same thing again. You've got two choices. You have base or just run to your bot side here as Hecarim, or you have going for this top play. So in this case, he deems this top play as high percentage. Okay, why is that? So let's check. Does Jax have flash? No, Jax does not have flash because earlier, I believe, right, when Jax solo killed his Gragas, you can see right here, right? Jax uses flash. He's probably watching that right now, by the way. He's watching that Jax has no flash. So the exact same thing as we just talked about. This attention to detail is what separates and what makes this guy so good compared to, you know, Master, GM. Like this is literally what separates him. So he knows now that Jax has no flash. So on this next play, paired with the fact that this wave, what's this wave doing? This wave is bouncing. So this wave will 100% push here. Jax 100% needs to push his wave. So Jax will also just play aggressively because his wave is bouncing. Last thing, he has really good gank set up here from Gragas. He has the E, he has the ult. He also has his own ult. So again, he deems this play high percentage. Okay, and honestly, even if, you know, he could just recall here, like this is still a good spot to just recall and then run to his bot side. So again, it's a little bit of an int check. You're thinking like, will this Jax who has no flash, who has a pushing wave, and I have a Gragas who has good gank setup, will this guy int? When I do coaching, like this is one of the biggest things that I teach people. You need to think about what the enemy laner, you know, he's not smart. This is the highest level of challenger. It's just the game. He just has to play aggressive here. I mean, generally as well, these players will just play aggressive because they're playing a champion that wants to fight and wants to gain a lead. And they also want to gain a lead, right? They also want to carry the game. I mean, Jax looks balanced, just trades anyway, trades the kill. Really, really good for Hecarim though. And then instant base. If you've seen any of my other reviews before, guys, this kind of gets me excited when junglers just instantly base and prioritize tempo. Because right now, Nefiri, right, is on the bot side, making a bot side play. And so his camps here, he wants to match. He wants to match. Okay, so instant base, no, not even a second of time waste. He knows that Nefiri's top side is not up. So it's really, really good to see. Insta base, whenever you gank a side lane, whether it's bot, whether it's top, once you base, once you do that play, it's always kind of worth to base because the distance it takes to walk from like here to like your back to your camps and here back to your camps, you may as well just go and spend the 500,000 gold that you have. Okay, wow, okay, he actually gets cancelled here. Base in the bush. And then he just takes the wave because, yeah, he has to now. He's fixing the wave for Gragas here as well, which is good. Now he insta-base. Okay, instant base. Now onto the bot side. So in this game, when your mid's not doing too good, your top's not doing too good, I would say this is a pretty even game, right? This is a pretty even game. His bot lane is winning, his top's losing, his mid is losing, but, you know, he's not like running it down. But he is getting absolutely... Every time I look mid, this guy's like 1 HP, he's down 20 CS. So how do you translate this lead now? How do you translate this lead? If you look at the items, you have Shojin. The rest of the game doesn't have even close to 1 item. You can see it already happening right here. So even though he has 4 camps up, whenever there's a fight happening, you need to be alert and you need to be thinking, how can I influence this fight? Can I be the diff? So in this case, in this judgment call, before we saw he took the grubs and he didn't get off his camps. In this case, he gets off his camps. Okay, why? Because he deems this play, he's judging this play. He thinks that, right, I'm really strong. I can be the diff here. I can at least kill Rakan 100%. And so now he's transing that lead. So when you are ahead, be sure to try and get involved and gain more. Okay, here we go. Takes the wave. The Nefiri is dead. So what does he do immediately? This is a classic. When the enemy jungle dies, the first question that needs to come into your mind is, what can I take? Is there anything I can take? And this is also a little bit of internal jungle tracking. He knew that he's pathing down here. He knew that he went for the mid play. So even if you don't know if his Raptors are up here or not, just check the camp. Check it. This is how you also utilize these farming junglers, these champions like Graves, like Hecarim, like Lilia, like anything that farms really, really quickly and just generates tempo out of nothing. This is something that you have to be really good at doing. Okay, so he knows that Rakan is coming out of base here. He knows that no one can stop him here. I mean, there is a Kai'Sa, but he just doesn't really care, right? So he's also tracking the enemy's tempo as well. Okay, a little side step. Okay, Rakan was a little closer than we expected. Now let's see what he does here. So I'm expecting him to greed. Let me see how much gold he has. So he has 700 gold. So I'm expecting just a full clear to top here. Depending on if something happens, this is a really, really good time to greed. Why I say this is a good time to greed is because he has, well, his ult is coming up, but no objectives. So yeah, just full clear. Just full clear angle. Instantly, I'm wrong. He instantly goes to the bot side. So of course, this is exactly what you have to keep your mind open. You know, even myself here, I see this full clear. I see this juicy, juicy full clear, right? But you got to keep your eyes open. So let's go back. Let's see what he sees. So he's going back to his Grom. Okay, we'll fast forward it. He knows here also that Nefiri should not go to his dead bot side camps, right? Nefiri should always go top side here to attack top side. So he kind of also, I mean, there's a chance that Nefiri could still be bot here. For sure. He has ult here, so he just reacts, right? It's the same thing as mid. He just thinks here that they can win this 2v2, so he goes for it. And yeah, he's just getting involved, right? He's oh, Victor TP'd as well, okay. He's gone crazy. I like to see it. I mean, this is something I also encourage. When I see players, you know, ask them, hey, do you think you can kill this guy? And if they say yes, I actually tell them, like, go for it. Because that's the only way you're going to learn, right? And that's the only way you're going to push limits like this. So you gotta go for the play sometimes, right? You gotta, I mean, obviously there's discipline and there's pushing limits and figuring out, you know, those two things. You know, you gotta push limits sometimes, but also you gotta be disciplined to actually guarantee these wins. So again, he's making his presence known, and this guy is really aggressive. This guy's way more aggressive than, you know, the AFK farm, the AFK full clear thing. You see the same thing. Natty Nat does the same thing. When he's strong, he really makes his presence known. As you can see, he's just triple killing. I mean, this guy knows Hecarim limits better than anyone else on the planet. And so, you know, sometimes he will, you know, if you take a look at his match history, sometimes he will run it down, like some games, like this game, for example. But, I mean, the only way you're going to know if you win these situations is if you try. So I would highly encourage you to push limits and see that, you know, increase that champ mastery. Okay, so he's mega fed now, right? This is a classic situation that, you know, we also find ourselves in sometimes where we're super, super fed. So let's see how he translates it. So let me see. Is he just going to buy a whole item here? No. Okay, and also, by the way, he's going the lethality build. Super 1v9. He's not very tanky, so it's very, there is a lot of room for mistakes in terms of like your positioning because you don't have that durability, you don't have health, you don't have any defensive stats. So instantly here, right? Obviously, just translating your lead, the way you're going to do it as jungle is you're going to translate it to fights. So when you can make the difference in fights, that's how you translate your lead. That's how you make an impact in the game to win. And you translate also by just to objectives. So you say, hey, I'm going to go take this Drake. If you guys want to come contest me here, I'll kill you. Well, I'll win the fight. And if not, I will slowly build some kind of win con like Dragon Soul. Okay, so it looks like the map is just going to be a split map situation here. It looks like, you know, we're just going to play like strong side bot here. And they're going to play strong side top. The enemy actually makes a good play here by trading, right? Trading an objective. So, you know. But then it just becomes a split map situation. Yeah, we kind of have to dive this guy. So let's see how he plays this. Wow, he just one-shots him. That looked quite balanced. Interesting to also see how he plays this, right? So again, he has ult. He has no E. But simply he just holds his ult. Walks up, smite. Look at that. Walks up and smite. I can't even tell you guys how many times I tell players this. Hold your mobility. Don't just ult in here. Just walk up, smite. No matter what you play here, just walk up and smite. Okay, cool. So again, we're staying in their jungle. We know the map's kind of like, you know, everyone knows what everyone is doing here. It's just a typical split map situation. Okay, some fighting happening again. Translating his lead. They are going into the enemy strong side here. However, the enemies are 1 HP. So it doesn't really matter if Neferi is here because the enemy is just too low. You can see how active, like, if there's a big thing that we learn from this game, obviously the early flashes, and punishing the early flashes, but it's also once you are strong, trying to get involved in fights and trying to make your presence known and being the diff. You know, you got to be the diff. Fundamentals and clearing and camp cycling and all these things, these only put you in a position to be strong. Once you are strong, you need to watch. Can I make the difference here? Is like the biggest thing that I'm taking away from this VOD. Okay, insta-base it. Insta-base it because I think he has his item. Topside camps are up, Gromp is up. Jax is low here, but he just wants to, you know, he wants to be back on map as well, syncing up with his Pyke, syncing up with his team. So if he stayed here, the problem with staying here, right? The problem if he stayed here and kept farming is that, one, there's an objective spawning here, or is alive here. Two, he wants to sync up with his Tristana and his Pyke when they get back. So yeah, if he stayed here, farm, then he would have to stay further with his team when they get back, and he wouldn't be able to, you know, he would be weaker than what he should be on the map. So very nice, fast little base. Then immediately going back to this side. Okay, Tristana gets cancelled here. That's pretty unfortunate. Okay. Oh, he died. Okay, Neferi looks like inting a little bit. Okay, never mind. Runs out. What's he going to do here when his Tristana dies? He's just going to clean up the mid wave. He's going to judge, is this fight still fightable? Is this fight still fightable? You can see here, like, his initial thought is to not instantly start the rift when his Tristana dies. He's still in a little bit of a play it by ear. Like, okay, I'm going to just do my Raptors and I'm going to see what happens. Right? If nothing is happening here, if we don't think that we can kill the enemy here, this is what I like to call downtime. Right? When your team dies, when your team is basing, when your team is not ready to play, don't just randomly start this, even though he is so strong here, right? Even though he's 2.5 items compared to everyone else's like 1.5, he's 2.5, right? Still, when your Tristana dies, just wait for him. Okay, we're waiting for our team to get back on the map. Okay, now he's just going. I guess now he just sees something that he can just kill Rakan. I don't know if he saw like enemies basing here or something, but I guess he just finished his clear. and decided now it's time to go. Yeah, I guess he had pretty good information here, actually. Yeah, he saw Neferi and Jax bot side. Again, attention to detail. He sees Jax here. He sees Neferi here. He sees Tristana's coming out of base. But now, you know, you don't have to wait for people, right? If you have good, if you have information. So if you know that only Rakan and Victor and potentially Kai'Sa can be here, then you know, again, oh, I can push limits. I'm strong enough to fight this even with Pyke, even with, you know, Gragas or whatever. Okay, so again, really, really nice. He waits for the information, then he goes. Okay, he probably knows that this guy has no flash. I'm just going to guess, because otherwise, I mean, even if he does that and he gets flash, it's still kind of good, I guess. Wow, damage. Insane. 1v9 build. 14 and 0. And now he goes for the objective. Another thing that's important to realize is that it's the same thing. So just like the same, he starts the Drake. You know, he's translating his lead to the objective. It's not about like chasing kills anymore. This is like, okay, if you guys are in this area, I will kill you. If not, I'll take the objective. This is like the fundamentals of it. If my team is dying and trolling, I'll just farm my camps until I have guaranteed information that the play that I'm making is going to work. All right. So back into the enemy camps here. His team is basing, so I'm going to... And this is, again, this is like pushing limits. This is being greedy. Neferi is showing bot side. So again, the same thing. If Neferi is somewhere, what can I take? I can take his top side because I just knew that I was just here and I know that they're spawning. So we're just continuing the uptime here. Okay, this is exactly what I would call uptime. When your team is pressuring, for example, what's happening down here? People are pressuring, people are pushing, people are pushing. Very bad time to go and just push or go back to your camps right now. We have Rift. We want to Rift here. We want to Rift here. Or we want to push top and also Rift here. Either one is fine. But don't base here. Even though, look, he has 2k gold, right? Don't base. Because your team is pressuring something. The Neferi is dead. You need to take something. You need to look, what can I take? And I guess Kai'Sa's life is first, and then the tower. Again, you're translating your lead to an objective. If the enemy is there, you can kill them. Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does now. Okay, now he deems... This is not a tower we can take, I guess. I mean, probably could have rifted it anyway, but his whole team syncs up with him, which is pretty insane. The commander. Again, you can just use Rift on the next round. But yeah, I think that is a chance. Let me see. Let me actually see why he didn't want to use Rift here. The enemy are all dead. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just a better chance to use Rift, right? Maybe he can use Rift top and then break 2 towers. Or maybe, you know, just on the next round when he has better items, right? The lead may be even bigger than just 1 tower here. So again, he's aiming for a max win, I think. I think he's just aiming with, okay, well, I know I can take this tower whenever I want. Like, it's just dead to me. So let's just go play on a new round where I have spent all my gold and I have an extra item now. So when you have an item, right? Base, sync up with your team. And then you can just do the same play here. Again, instant uptime. You can see here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Look, your team is on the map here. So at this point in the game, it's all about still, what's the next objective? These towers. Okay, if these are the next objective, then we want to push these waves. Okay, how are we going to push these waves? Okay, we need to protect the waves then. So if someone is on this wave here, we need to go and kill them. If someone is on this wave here, we need to go into their jungle and kill them. And when you go into the jungle here with your team, I know, of course, in your games, it may not be exactly looking like this. Although, to be honest, some cases it is, right? Of course, you have to adapt to what your team is doing. But since you are stronger, you want to make your, again, presence known here. You want to protect waves. You want to take camps. Uptime. Uptime play. A lot of what I see when players are really, really fed is they go back to defaulting to just clearing their camps. Okay, I guess I was right. He should have rifted bot. He should have just taken took what was free in front of him. In this case, actually, the uptime doesn't do anything. Why does it not do anything? Because we didn't protect the top wave. You can see here, actually, that he's trying to proxy the wave, which is pretty good. But we didn't protect this wave, so it means that they can just push. So this actually slows down this round a lot for them. This actually means that he has to just cancel. And he has to go back up, still thinking about protecting the wave, though. But Jax actually just makes a really good play here. Yeah, this slows down the game a lot. And he just says, okay, my team can deal with that. I don't want to lose the Drake. So he rotates here. The game actually gets really messy here. Wow. Yeah, I think that enemy team actually make really good plays here. And this is all to do with the fact that we didn't protect the top wave. Literally. All right, so let's just watch how this plays out now. Again, he's just straight away back on the objective, right? This is a very, very objective-focused mindset. He's not thinking about farm too much anymore. He's thinking, I'm strong now. Let's translate. I mean, he's still keeping up 10 CS per minute. So, you know, just because you play uptime, by the way, it doesn't mean that you stop farming. Just because you're really strong, it doesn't mean you stop farming. It just means that the enemy camps are yours. The enemy camps should belong to you. And then, yeah, of course, if your team is inting, if your team is dying, if your team is doing whatever they do generally, then you just go back and you just clear your camps. But again, here, it's still uptime. Still uptime, still uptime. The team is pressuring. We're playing for the next objective. He lives here. What can I take? Takes camps. Rinse and repeat. Take the Krugs, base. Take the tower, Krugs, then base. And then the enemy FF. And so just to summarize some of the fundamentals that we covered in this video, you know, in the early game, pretty standard start, right? Punishing the no flashes was a big part of this early game. Punishing the mid no flash, punishing the top no flash, really being aware once we get ahead of all the fights that are happening in the game. And then in the mid game, we have a very, very objective, focused mindset where we're not compensating if our team is dying. So at the time Tristana died, we're not going to just start the objective straight away. But then when everyone's ready or when we have sufficient information, we are immediately just thinking, okay, what's the next objective? It's Rift. What's the next tower? It's mid tower, bot tower. We're playing uptime with our team. We're protecting waves. We're looking to go into the enemy jungle. And yeah, this is a great demonstration of how to really translate your lead and be the diff. So if you guys were able to learn something from this video, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Consider dropping a like, dropping a sub, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.